some readers for a moment. And since Dylan's here, we're going to let him read some verses for us when it comes time. And we'll give him Psalm 139, verses 1 through 4. And then we're giving Haley 1 John 3 and 20. And we're giving Christy Hebrews 4 and 13. Then we're giving Karen Isaiah 46:10. Just hold on to them. Hold on. So let's get rolling here. What did we cover a week ago? Let's see what your memory can hold.
Different scenarios.
We did some scenarios. What was that? What was we trying to do?
Reason why.
Huh?
Tell a reason.
We were trying to give a reason as to why. Why? What the answers were to give biblical backing to each individual person's problem. Anything else we covered last week?
The good news.
The good news. Okay. Anything else? Sharon might have wrote it down, but she's not sure if she can read what she wrote. Did you wear your glasses when you wrote that down?
That's possible.
Okay, I was just curious.
You never mentioned him to me.
You never mentioned him to me.
Say, I got that.
Let's see. She's on it. Anything else we covered last week?
William Cunham, the most boring preacher.
The most boring preacher. Yes. Okay. So first, I'm going to ask you all who has a specific problem. Ginger, don't raise your hand yet. I seen her back there thinking about going ahead and putting it in. But anyway, she was thinking about it. I know she was. Here we go. So I want to know if anybody in the room has this problem. Let's look this over for a second and see if anybody else in the room has this problem.
I stay up all the time. Hotels.
Does anybody do this at night? How many has this problem? So, in other words, if your fingers have fingertips, but your toes don't have toe tips, but you can still tiptoe. Just how many people have a mind of, or a habit of overthinking? Overthinking. And it runs through the mind. You don't sleep because your mind, or as they say, your mind don't shut off. Is that Ira? You think Ira does that? Yeah. Yeah. Pretty common ground, ain't it? And I want to give some things that's included in that for what we're going to look at and study tonight. But included in someone that does this action right here, a thinker as we would call it, or to ponder on something or speculate or evaluate or even explore everything. If it were possible, people could think things to death. You ever thought about that? If it's possible, people can think it to death. People think about what they've said or what they should have done. They relive circumstances or discussions that they've had. They analyze things or mistakes that they've made in great detail. They recall past heartaches or sorrows that's occurred in their past life like a broken record. And they think, and they think, and they think. And it always comes up those questions of if only I would have done this, or what if I would have done that, or maybe I should have done this way. And the more we press and overthink, the more it's not fixing anything. It's not even mending any situation to do that. We do that a lot. So I'm going to ask you to tell me, I'm going to give you a word, and I want you to tell me how you would explain what this is. Okay, I want you to explain what you would say. How would you explain to someone what this word is right here? Don't think about it too much.
An idea.
An idea? Okay, what else? If you're going to tell somebody that wants to know what a thought is, what would you say a thought is?
That's really all what you're thinking about.
Okay.
That would be your thought. What you're
Okay.
thinking about.
Sharon says it's all of what you're thinking about,
I don't think.
and she's thinking. Anybody else? Tell me something here. What is a thought?
It's something you should take captive every thought.
Huh?
You should take captive every thought.
Okay.
Because there are good ones and bad ones and
Mhm.
sad ones, and you need to throw them all out. Delete.
So, and just to simplify this for just a second so we can see it, that it's either the act or the operation of the mind when attending to a particular subject or thing, or it's the idea consequent on that operation.
See?
And have you ever thought about this? And I just want to give this to you in real time perspective tonight. If you just take people and look at them, could you tell me what any of these people are thinking?
I see Rick's at Kroger, just got an award.
He's thinking, I'm on overtime.
I'm fired.
Thought it's a
What,
lot
maybe,
easier on there.
but what do you think's on, what's going through these people's minds? Chris is Chris is forecasting the foreseeable disaster that may be about to occur. That's what he was doing. But anyway, if you look at people's face and just read the face, can you really tell what they're thinking? You ever heard people say, I can just look at them and know what they're thinking? You hear that all the time? People say, I can just look at him and I know what he's thinking.
Roger's like,
Well, Roger's waiting on the food. He might have already ordered it. We don't know yet. Yeah. Now, it's interesting to me that thoughts and how they conclude and where they come from, and you look at any of these examples, and there's more, but there's any of these examples that just reading the face, trying to decide what they're thinking, okay? Well, if you go into the fact that thought is, in fact, what we call a conclusive matter, or the operation of the mind of your thinking, there is actually a process. There is a thought process that everybody does. And it is using your mental capacity to complete and understand certain functions of the human experience. These may allow you to solve problems, make decisions, or create and evaluate new ideas. Did you know? Now, here's what's... We can get as deep as we want to in this. But did you know, and I'm going to give you just a few easy, quick examples for a second. But did you know that there are 39 identifying thought processes? 39 identifying thought processes. When I went through school, there's an entrance requirement to go through the medical part of the program. And the first thing that they did with us was you had a 500 question psych written test, 500 questions, a psych eval. You had 90 minutes to take it. And it asked you anything you can imagine. And they took that test and they took it to the psychologist. And when you came in for your oral interview before the board, which was about 20 people at a horseshoe-shaped table in Morristown, and it was doctors everywhere, when you sat at that table, before you ever come in the room, that psychologist would take that test that you filled out on the paper, the 500 questions that you had 90 minutes to answer. He would take that test and he would tell everybody in the room exactly what you were going to do. He could tell them what body motions you would make, what eye contact you would do, if you would pause to answer your question, if you would give errant answers to the questions. The questions I'll never forget that he asked me when I was in the room was things like, if you could be any animal in the circus, what would you be and why?
An elephant.
Now remember, I'm going into a medical program. I'm not into the circus, but I'm getting asked about what animal I would be. But they come in there, and there's 39 thought processes that is labeled to us. They can easily, a psychologist, psychiatrist can identify this to anybody. This is just an example of a short few. There is some that do the, I don't have the other one on here, but like, for example, the tangentiality. Speech deviates to unrelated topics, and the speaker never returns to the original idea. There's preachers that do that. I know preachers that go off on a whole unrelated topic, and they never come back to what they started preaching on. That is a thought process. Identify. So next time one does it, go up and tell them you're diagnosing them with that. That is real.
See,
But that is a real but it's schizophrenia mania people that they find this in. So don't tell them that part. Just tell them no, I'm just joking. But there are 39 thought processes and disorders that go with it. If they find the thought process and how you're thinking, and
Did
yes,
you pass your test?
yes.
Okay.
But if they an hour and a half later, if they learn a thought process, then they learn the potential disorders that's related to it and what may actually be wrong with you. See, your thought processes takes down to a path of problems and disorders and what we see. Now, I've gave some verses tonight for a thought that we're going down to study tonight. But one of the first problems in our world that we all at some point in time may have even tried or done or still do, and there's people still doing this today all over the place, is this very example of right here. This is one of the biggest problems that we see. So we know that God is in his omniscience presence. We know that defines him of knowing everything, understanding everything, and even being able to be in all places at all times. One thing that we've taught on and clarified in this class before is the fact that the devil cannot do that. He cannot be at all places at all times. He is not capable of doing that like God. Now, Bible proves, before we read any verses, the Bible proves this. How do we say we know that God is the source of knowledge? How do we prove that he's omniscient by the Bible? How do we prove that? How does the Bible prove that he is omniscient?
You gotta look around and see everything he's made.
Okay. Yeah.
Read his word.
Any others? One of the very things that we find, and I seen this week in a person that had an article, he says that a Christian should never read a Bible verse. He said a Christian should never read a Bible verse. He says they should never be reading one verse by itself. Now, we've talked about in here and in Sunday school how that you depict one verse out of all the story or the parable or whatever the prophecy is, and you take the rest out that applies, and you can turn that in a lot of different directions than to take all of the writing surrounding the verse that you're focusing on. But he specified this because we're looking at the omniscience of God. So we're going to start with Psalms 139, verses 1 through 4. Tell us what that says.
O Lord, thou hast searched me and know me. Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether.
And adding to that, and I read this the other day, in that same chapter, 139, verse 12, he says, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee, David wrote in Psalms 139. But he says in there that God's understanding our thoughts, because David says he has searched me and he knows me. He has known you from creation. He knows your thoughts. He knows everything and acquainted with everything you do. Now, what does 1 John 3 and 20 say?
For if our heart condemneth, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things.
Greater than our heart and knoweth all things. What about Hebrews 4:13?
Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his
What was that? We got
sight.
Hebrew what?
4:13.
But all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do.
No creature that's not manifest in his sight. Matthew for correction. Isaiah 46:10.
Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
Have you ever thought about the fact that he is the source of all knowledge? From the very ground up, before creation, before the creation of the world that we're sitting on the earth, before that he was and is and will be the source of all knowledge. And one of the things that we look at tonight, and I might let Robert or Roger give you the verbal communication of this word. But Hebrew language takes us to this very word about God's thoughts. Now, I want to turn this on us a little bit tonight, and we're going to see in just a minute why, about how our thoughts is a process, and what we think and how we come up with a thought is a collection process of concluding information of what we have gathered, and we have thought on it to come to a conclusion. The Hebrew language of this word, if you take the word thought and flip it to the lexicon, the Hebrew language, you'll come up with this, the meaning of plans or intentions. And all of what he has in the plan is also how that his creation comprehends purpose. Everything that he has made. Now you think about it. Is there anything right now God made that he didn't make for a reason? Anything you think of? Did God make anything that he did not make for a reason? That means he thought about it. He planned it. He intended to do it. It was all there in a time and process. Now, Tony's one of the victims to this next slide. I must warn you all. But you always say the things, and this is how our thoughts go. You hear things. How many times have you heard something and either heard it repeated or you repeated it and it ended up not being true?
Every day.
See, Sharon's still victim to it now. She's hearing it all the time.
Every day at work.
Every day. You hear or repeat something that ends up not being true. Now, I give some examples of this in a class we were on one night in here, but I'll give you just a quick rendition slide of this. If you hear all the time, honey, money is the root of all evil.
True.
Yeah.
That's not what the Bible says.
Love.
The Bible don't say that. Yeah. Or God helps those who help themselves. That came from Algernon Sydney that was popularized by Benjamin Franklin. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones that John Wesley popularly put in a sermon, but no, not Bible verse. This too shall pass.
That's fine.
Yeah. It actually is a Persian adage. God won't give you more than you can handle. I hear that one a lot. When instead it promises God will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But how easy is it for us to jump up and say, well, now I thought that's what it said. I swear I thought that's what it said. Don't you hear people say all the time? I thought. Well, something had to be somewhere in there in your thinking to have a thought. In Deuteronomy 29:29, here are some interesting things that just will blow your mind for just a moment. I'll give you something to blow your mind. You ever thought about the fact that the truth is that we do not always and cannot know things because God has not revealed it? How much God knows that has never been revealed? That just nobody knows. Nobody. Give me an example. The Bible tells us of one. There's one thing that nobody knows.
When he's coming back.
Yep. The angels don't know it, do they? Nobody knows the day or the hour. But guess what? God's thought about it. He's already thinking on that. He's already thought about it. It's already in his mind. He's already thought about it. He's only chosen, and this is the thought about this, he's only chosen to reveal certain things in the Bible to make certain knowledge possible by means of, as he said, by looking at the creation and what God has created around us is one. He has revealed one thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but in Bible studies, this is a big definition of two things about God. And it is his expressed will and his unexpressed will. So his expressed will is everything that he has revealed to us by his creation, by his wonders, miracles, all of the Bible. That is what he has expressed of his will. But according to Scripture, providence comes in to where that God's unexpressed will is located. What is providence? What's that mean? What's the word providence mean? Anybody? What does the word providence mean? If you look that up, and the Bible dictionary tells you providence is the protective care of God as a spiritual power. Timely preparation for future eventualities. Everything we know is God's expressed will. But how much of his will has never been expressed? The things that God knows that he's never revealed. The Bible says that nobody knows when he's coming back. Nobody knows. But how much more did John see that's never wrote down? He revealed that to some things to John that he told him they weren't to be put in the book. There's other things that says that the book wouldn't contain it if they've written down all the miracles and all the wonders that he did while he walked the earth. Wouldn't contain it. But what God has revealed to us right now is considered the expressed and unexpressed will. That is the division of what God has revealed to us. And it is very human nature of our heart to give God tons of questions. We ask God questions all the time, and these are the top three. You ask God these questions pondering, thinking, processing, staying up and analyzing and running a situation through your mind over and over and over. People ask God one of these three top questions all the time. And you think about even people that have trouble with their faith alone or their belief or anything about God. How do you trust God but you don't understand? I agree. But that's not how people see that in 2026. Because 2026, people are YouTube certified. They can look anything up on YouTube and fix it. The car's tore up, YouTube it. If your lawnmower won't start, YouTube it. If you can't find a product in the store, get on Walmart.com. It'll tell you where to go in the aisle to get you there. You look it up. Everything you get to thinking about, you look it up. If you need a tool, you get to looking it up. If you need something else, you look it up. But then we start asking things, how easy is it that we can fully trust a God that we don't even understand? And then we comprehend things that doesn't seem logical. I'll give you some examples of that. When people die, that's something people don't understand. Tragedies strike good people. Bad things happen to good people. They don't understand. They question God. Why did you do that? Why did you let that happen? How did that happen? The wicked people prosper. That's a good one that I've had a lot of people bring up before, is how these people do such horrible things, and yet they prosper over and over and over, and God allows it. That is so hard to comprehend and understand. So what we're doing, in essence, is beating on heaven's door, demanding for some answers. We're beating on the doors of heaven, demanding that God answers that so that we can understand it. We want to be able to know. In our human nature, we're not satisfied until we know and we understand. And the very thing that God says in the answer, what do you think God says when we ask all these things that we don't understand? What do you say in the Bible about all these things we ask him why, and when, and why did you let that happen? What do you think his answer to that is?
Not for you to know,
Huh?
not for you to know.
Okay. Any others?
Be still.
Okay. One of the first things he tells you is my ways are higher than yours. See, my ways, speaking as God, he says, my ways are higher than yours. Do you know some things that's comprehendibly problems is this right here? Don't ever look this up. I promise you, you'll go crazy. But do you know that it is almost impossible for a human to interpret or be able to look at a fourth dimension, as you see in this example? Your brain right now has got sparks flying everywhere. You're blowing fuses trying to get that image in your head of a fourth dimension. It is very, very hard for a human to interpret things beyond 3D. Have you noticed on the TV that they advertise everything? They've got 1080p resolution and 4K, but they only offer 3D. You'll never find a 4D TV. If you do, people will have massive medical problems because the amount of problems your brain has trying to look, reach, and grasp the fourth dimension, the beyond comprehension, your problem of looking at something and being able to understand or remember. One of the things that David wrote, he says, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. You know, an unweaned child doesn't understand the things that its mother does. And the very one good example is when the mother takes the child to the health department to get its vaccines. The child does not comprehend why that its mother done that. It doesn't comprehend any reason of why that the child keeps getting told no every time that he or she wants something. But the child still loves and trusts the mother, and he still, in humility and trusts her provisions and her wisdom. When God says that his ways are above ours and beyond our comprehension, we become the same as that unweaned child. We don't understand why that we're doing these things, why that we're having to do things this way, what's behind all of why. But he said, my ways are higher than yours. If I want to give you some Bible examples, anybody want to give me any Bible examples before I show you some of where God done proved unexplainable things that he did on purpose as part of his plan? Any examples?
The flood,
Huh?
the flood,
The flood? Okay. What else?
rolled back,
Yeah.
Jordan River.
Yeah. Any others?
Abraham's son. He didn't know why he was supposed to sacrifice Isaac.
Okay. Any others?
Joseph.
Okay. Any others? Let me give you some things that you're not going to be able to make sense of. I'll show you. The events that have taken place recorded in the Bible that we have trouble making sense of or comprehending, and we won't get anywhere by trying to do it. He parted the Red Sea because it fit the plan for Israel. He made the sun stand still so Joshua's army could defeat their enemies. He sent an angel to let Peter out of jail, but he allowed James to be executed. God has allowed some of his faithful servants to suffer terrible fates, even though he could have delivered them if he chose. See, the perspective of our lives from God's higher thoughts, higher ways, is a whole different perspective view than what me and you run through our minds and what me and you comprehend to think about what goes through our minds. one of the things that Karen read in Isaiah 46, and he clarified this in a lot of ways. From earth looking up, a lot of what goes on in our world right now is very confusing. Why that a man would decide that he wants to be a woman, or why a woman would decide that she wants to be a donkey. I seen that one this week, that a woman has now identified as a donkey. Now, see, that's beyond my comprehension. That's beyond all comprehension, if you ask me. But we see nothing, if we look at the earth from our view, we see nothing but confusion. What do you think God sees from heaven looking down?
Lord, what a bunch of idiots.
No, that ain't it.
His plan.
A plan unfolding. It's unfolding. As chaotic and crazy and foolish as it's going, it's all unfolding. The plan is fulfilling just like he promised. And he gives the Persian king Cyrus in this very part of the Bible. This is a good example. The end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executeth my counsel from a far country, yea, I have spoken it. I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it, and I will also do it. We may not always know why God needs a bird from the east. That's a good example right there. Or why he would want to use a man like Cyrus from a far off land that may not even himself know why he's moving across the world to an entirely different place. But we do know that the whole time that this is stated and brought to life, that it's all part of God's plan. I tell you one else thing, how much does the Bible give you room for the idea of coincidence? I've seen this recently being studied. How much does the Bible support coincidence?
I don't think it does.
Huh?
I don't think it does.
Because when God says my ways are higher than yours, everything happens for a reason and will be woven into the plan. He says in Romans 8:28 what? Anybody know that verse just by me telling you that? Romans 8:28? That all things work together for the good. All right. We put God made us in his own image, but we want to put him in ours. We want to put God in our own image. And if we would react in a certain way, then we assume that God would think and act similar to that. How many of you seen the bracelets and the shirts that all say WWJD? What would Jesus do? Well, that's been going on for years. That campaign model, people wearing the bracelets on it. What would Jesus do? The problem is that everybody then gets the assumption that God would act or think a certain way. That's all that does. That proctored us for what we thought was a good motto to say, now what would Jesus do in this situation? And then guess what? You thought about it, and the thought concluded, this is what I think he would do. You don't know the thoughts of God. You can't comprehend the thoughts of what God would do. But even in this, thinking on a much different level of what he knows, comprehends, and processes and gives us to us, it goes, now, I want you to think there's some more similarities. Just look at the faces and see if you can tell me what these people are thinking.
Who's it the first little fella?
I don't know.
What I think is.
What do y'all think?
Middle, what's he thinking about?
What do you think these people are thinking? Anybody got an idea? It's a mystery. Does anybody know anybody on this screen? They're all attending the church.
I don't know that first one.
Well, you just think hard on it. We'll see if you ever figure it out.
Oh,
Ah,
put some glasses on him.
I'm doing serious stuff right there.
Robert.
So,
Or Roger, my bad.
so
Excuse me, little brother.
I'm going to go back to a few days ago when some of y'all were young. Did any of y'all ever use one of these?
No.
You have one? Anybody ever had one? Know anybody that had one?
I never used one.
What is it?
It's
A weaver.
a loom.
A loom? What is it? What do you do with this thing?
Make quilts, scarves,
Okay.
whatever.
So there's something interesting about this loom effect right here. You've got yarn. We're going to use the word yarn. You've got yarn going in two directions. One of them is a different word. It starts with a W-E. I can't remember if it's a whelm or a warm, something like that. But in the loom, you have two directions of yarn. You have some going horizontally, and then you've got some going vertically. Have you ever looked at a basket, how it's woven, crisscrossed woven? Same thing's happening in the loom. You've got two different directions of yarn, and them hooks are interlacing it to weave something that it's created. There's one thing interesting about the loom, though, is that in order for this to work and produce anything in action that you're wanting it to make, scarf, rug, blanket, throw, anything, there has to be tension on both sides. If anything's loose on one or the other end, then the whole thing is going to come out raveled up, balled up in a mess. There has to be even tension on both sides of the yarn that is being laced through the loom. Your life, if we look at it in this similar example, the Bible uses the words as the potter at the wheel. If we use this example tonight of the loom, God already knows what he's making. And there has to be tension on two sides. Both ways. There has to be some tension. There has to be some things that we have to get aligned correctly in order to do that. And here's one of the worst things. How many of y'all have this thought? We give time and energy to the what ifs. You know that it's so funny to me that everybody, and Jimmy's in here, he'll be a good example tonight. You know, everybody expects the fire department to be prepared for what if. I mean, if we have a 3-mile-long hotel catch on fire, they expect the fire department to be able to put that thing out, don't they? The what ifs. But you know, we don't plan for what ifs. We don't prepare for what ifs. We don't. There's no way to. There's no way to prepare and plan anything in your life for what if. Now, plumbers, electricians, all these people have to interpolate this thought, thinking, we're back to thinking, of all the what ifs. What if we get here and we need to do this? Or they'll put in stuff. Y'all ever see people put in some receptacles in a weird place? Well, the electrician thought about it, and their thought was they may need one there sometime. I'm going to put one there. Or they may need to plug something else up over here sometime, so I'm adding another circuit on this wall. There was a thought there, see. Before you got to needing it or seeing it, there was already a thought, went through something that created this. We get back to the very root tonight of our word we're on. We're on the word thought tonight. We get back to our very thought of Isaiah chapter 55. I'm going to read you 55, 8, and 9 before we look at these two. 55, 8, and 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. If we back up to these two verses, from what I just read, we'll find that he's not saying that we cannot know God's thoughts and ways. It's actually telling us the very opposite. When he says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, keyword, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. Did you catch that? He will, that the wicked man should what? Forsake his way. And the unrighteous man, he should be out of his thoughts. He should be getting out of his way and out of his thoughts. Why? Why should he get to forsake his way and the unrighteous man to forsake his thoughts. Why? Why would we need to do that?
Let God have his way and will.
In order for me to think the higher things, the greater thoughts of God, in order for me to do that, what do I have to do? What do I have to do?
Clean your thoughts and your ways up.
I'll give you a real good example. Faith comes by what?
Hearing.
And hearing comes by the word, right? All right. It's the evidence of what?
Things not seen.
The evidence of things hoped for, or evidence of things not seen. So, think about this tonight. If you act on faith, it should not be your thought that you've comprehended if you're acting on faith tonight. Higher thoughts of God are revealed to us through this book continually. People have got in their mind that the thoughts of God is something we cannot know. However, He has revealed those to us. And what He has revealed in His expressed will to us tonight, we can know. And far from an excuse for not studying or seeking the mind of God, this is right here an exact urgent call for everybody to make God's thoughts ours and to make God's ways ours. Not us make our ways God's. Quit giving ourselves the imitation thinking and assumption that, well, this is how I think God would want me to do that. No, God tells you exactly how to do it. God tells you exactly what to do, how to do it. He lays the plan out. It's not my job to assume anything. It's not my job to think what I should be doing. And you think how much you do this, don't really seeing what else comes out, that we can do that. Paul actually said this very thing, that we are to have the mind of Christ. Well, if I've got the mind of Christ, it's no longer my thoughts and it's no longer my ways. If I'm putting on the mind of Christ. Here's an example. Let me just give you a few examples tonight. We can know God's design for human beings because He created it. And then He instituted something known as marriage. Then He instituted something under the house known as a family. Did He not? Did He not put that in there? That He instituted marriage? He made Eve? So on and so forth. He instituted it. We can know that. The purpose of the government, the rightful end and object of worship, the significance of what has gone wrong with our world and what He is doing to set it right. All these things we can know if we're making our thoughts of God's. One of the things is our ultimate goal, and I put this up here so I wouldn't forget it, is we need to quit learning things about it. There's too many people knows all kinds of things about God. And all of His mighty acts of parting the Red Sea, putting Noah in a boat, put him over the water and flooded the earth. But there ain't many people that know Him. Can you, in your mind, say you know God well enough to know that just like you like, a lot of people like to tell me all the time, I can just look at their face and know what they're thinking. Well, we should know God that good. You should know God so good that you know what His thoughts are, what His ways are. Because He's revealed unto you and supplied you with all you'll ever need. I do a lot of thinking I don't even have to do no more. I'm relieving you of duties right there, Roger. You don't have to ponder on it no more.
All right.
Yeah, think about it. All we are to do, the greatest commandment in the Bible listed is to love Him with what?
All your heart, mind, soul.
All your heart,
So,
yeah, your soul, your mind. The greatest commandment is to love Him and to know His ways. Think the thoughts of God. He also tells you to set your affections on things above. Does He not tell you that?
Yep.
He also tells you that if these things be true, if these things be honest, all the list of the things, He says you are to do what? Think on these things. If anything be honest, anything be true, all these lists of things, if any of that is be, then you are to think on these things. Now, I want to ask Roger and Robert a question right here because they're the only ones in here that do contracting work. Have you ever built a house with no plan? Just walked out there and just started setting the blocks? Go with it.
We have to have something to go by.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure? What would happen if you had no plan? No plan.
Couldn't even start.
Couldn't even start?
No.
Because you wouldn't know what you're building.
We don't know how, what size, or what length.
You can't just put the wall up and say, cut a hole right there. I think that'd be a good spot for a window. You know.
You could, but.
You can't put a wall up fast if you don't know what wall.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be a problem, wouldn't it? One of the things that comes to my mind, anybody know Jeremiah 29:11? Anybody know it before I? So the first thing that God says is, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you. And then he says the Lord, then he says what? Thoughts of what? Peace, not of evil. To give you what? An expected end. Now, most people that have a contractor build a house expect the house to look really similar to the plan. Everybody agree with that? If Robert Roger builds the house and it looks absolutely nothing like what the blueprint was they picked out, they're not going to be happy. There's going to be a huge dissatisfaction. Huh?
They're not gonna get paid either.
Well, that's true. But you think about it, God, this is what bothers me so much about how much we're trying to outdo God. He's already promised this, okay? He's already promised you that he's got the plan, and it's already laid out. He's already got a purpose for the plan that he already laid out, and it's no bad. And nowhere does he plan bad for his people. It's not in there. He does not plan you to go through some unruly craziness, biblically speaking, in your life. But we know perilous times shall come. There'll be trials and tribulations. There's other things this human body goes through and deals with. We know that as the mortal flesh. But God has already promised us that he knows the thoughts that he thinks toward us, thoughts of peace, not of evil, to give us an expected end. How much thinking are we doing? That's my question. I've been thinking a lot about this. How much thinking are, Steve's in here, Robert's in here, Roger. You can overthink the Bible. You know that? You can drive yourself into so deep into the Bible that you'll just blow your mind trying to comprehend it, and you'll overthink it the whole time when God didn't mean that. God did not intend to make that so complicated you could not understand it. Now, there are things in the Bible that we don't always comprehend and understand at this time. But I have seen many people overthink something so far into it that their thoughts are way out here from the very message that God intends to deliver. He's already promised you the plan. He already knows where everything needs to be and exactly where it needs to be put and exactly what time it needs to happen. He already knows every bit of this because he's done thought it out. Now, I want you to think about this. Before you ever, let me ask you this. How many people in this room believe that God knew what you would be doing at this very moment, 7:55, today before he created the earth? Yeah. Well, if he already knows that, because he designed the plan, why am I trying to think it through? Why am I coming up with a thought of what I need to do and how I need to do it? What? Human nature. All day long. Independence, self-reliance, that's all comes into nature as we study it. But that's nothing of what God presented. We're making things so much harder than they have to be on ourselves. Do you know that a lot of times we get angry for whatever goes on in our lives, and it may or may not be that God never intended us to be there because that wasn't on the blueprint? It may not have been the spot God planned on you being at that very point in time. How many people can honestly say they've been at the wrong place at the wrong time? Sharon is there every day at work.
Amen.
She hears it. So if you can get yourself to the wrong place at the wrong time, that means you're not where you needed to be in the place and time that God projected it. Amazingly tonight, I'm going to let Roger Gibbons read some verses in Matthew chapter 6 for a moment. Because I want you just to see how much God cares to take the worry, the pressure, and the stress off of us and our measly little mind. He already informs us in the book written over 2,000 years ago that we're not supposed to be doing this thinking and thought process that we're doing and how we're doing it. So, Roger, go ahead and read us some verses in Matthew chapter 6.
Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, not yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto your stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothed the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore, take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Wherewith shall we be clothed? For all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Amen.
Take no thought for your life. You see why that people are so much in despair right now with worry, stress, anxiety, anger, depression, and all these other issues that we're dealing with in life today? Do you know that 90% of the root cause of that is because we're doing the thinking? We're trying to think this out. We're trying to work out a plan that we never wrote. We never drew the blueprint. As a matter of fact, it's only by God that you were placed on this earth and born the very day you were born. That's it. You didn't think that out, but yet you were here before you were able to think. The very plan that God has set out for us, the very thing that you and I live through, is all in a plan. But how much people are in today's current times trying to think and overthink and overthink. I told some this week I was talking to of a preacher friend by the name of David Marshall. He lives over in Bean Station. And I may be wrong, but at one point in time, I'm pretty sure that he has the education of a 5th grader. I mean, he can barely read that Bible, but I'm telling you something, he'll comb your hair out when he gets in the pulpit. And Steve can tell you, there's a lot of old preachers could barely read, or some of them had them read it for them, wasn't it? There were some preachers had to have a wife, or somebody had to get up and read the Bible for them. They couldn't even read. But you know what they wasn't doing? They wasn't taking everything in life and taking it all in the chaos and craziness in the world that we're living in and bringing it all into this thought process. Now, our thoughts go where? What drives a lot of our thoughts right now in our lives? What does he say about where your heart is at? What does he say? That's where your treasure's at. And if all my time is built around thinking about all the things going on in this world that I don't control, I didn't create it, I didn't write it, and I didn't make it. If all my time is locked to thinking about that, what I'm wasting. I'm losing valuable, precious time. Do you know how much time you waste thinking about something you can't do anything about? That you could be getting your mind set to the ways of God, the higher ways of God's thoughts. And you know what? I believe this wholeheartedly. That's a lot of our play about Bible knowledge today, is that we don't think like God because we don't know what God said. We know a lot about Him, but we don't know Him. We see a separation in the world right now today of people trying to take this Bible and peel back what they say is really the belief and truth and thoughts of what the Bible says. Listen, I didn't design the plan. I didn't write the plan. Didn't make the plan. Nobody in this room can tell us what's going to happen Sunday morning when we get here for church. But we like to try to come up with how many people plan a church service? There's churches all around here that you can get a plan, a program, a plan of what they're going to do. And some of them even tell you what time they're going to do it on. Who writes the plan in this thing? You think about it. Who writes the plan? It has to come straight from the throne. David wrote a verse. I'm going to give this verse to you. David wrote a very prominent verse that links us all back to these things that we're looking at tonight. And David got to this time in Psalms when he wrote this verse, and he says this. Let me get back to it here. In Psalms. I think I've got it on. Hold on, let me look here. Yeah, right here we go. He said in Psalms chapter 40.
Chapter 1.
Psalms chapter 40, verse 17, he says, "But I am poor and needy." And what's he say next? "Yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my God." You know, what's most interesting to me is that all the time that you're not thinking about Him, He's still thinking about you. And all the time that we're not trying to get our thoughts to be in His thoughts, and we're not trying to comprehend His thoughts and His higher ways, all the time that we're wasting in our lives thinking and about these thoughts that we're running through our heads about tomorrow and down later in life and what to do and where to go, all the while that we have occluded our mind on this little thing called earth that one day is going to go away, that whole time, God's still sitting right there thinking about us. All the while that we have ran our minds ragged, thinking about things to come, God's thinking about you right now. I use that as an experience. Jimmy's here tonight. I'll use him and Chris as an example. How different would you have done things 25 years ago if you knew you was going to have the stroke that you had, the heart problems, the opening of your arteries? If you knew that 30 years ago and knew what you was going to be dealing with now, how different would you have done things?
That's hard.
That's a hard one to answer, ain't it? If you take Chris and you all are here around him and know him, he's very different than what he was when he first came here 5 years ago. He went from being a 24-inch waist to a 34-inch waist. But he went through 2 massive strokes, 2 brain surgeries. They removed his skull, open heart surgery to replace the valve. He's 35 years old. If he knew that 10, 12 years ago and knew that day was coming, it's in the plan. It's coming. It's going to happen. If you knew that, would you not be searching a little bit differently about what you're spending your time on and what you're doing and saying, "Lord, I need to be ready. It's coming. It's in your plan. I need to get ready. I need to get some things in order in my thoughts to understand your ways, to understand higher ways in your thinking." And you think David's position right here as he wrote, "Yet the Lord thinketh on me." It don't matter what you're thinking about. If you're thinking about your light bill that's got to be paid and what time you've got to do something tomorrow and what time you've got to get this done next week, and when the summer comes, you got to get the lawnmower blade sharpened and all this stuff, you're thinking about all that. Guess what? God's still thinking about you right now. He's still thinking about you because His mind and perspective. I want you to think about this for a minute. The perspective of us on the chaos of the world is confusing. It's hard to comprehend. But from heaven looking down, this ain't nothing but a plan falling in place. This is nothing but a plan going in order. It's all lining itself up in array. And as you see God's plan being carried out, some are not even in the plan where they're supposed to be, I believe. I believe God has a different place and position for a lot of people than where they're even at right now. But out of everything, no matter how good or bad, no matter where your thoughts are, flip the switch and look around in the mirror and say, He's still thinking about me. From the beginning of time until you leave this world, He's thinking about you. How much of that comes to our mind and our heart tonight to know that He tells us, I've already wrote the plan. I've already got this thing laid out. Then I created it. I have manifested it. I have revealed all the things in my expressed will I want you to know. And then we go over to what Roger read in Matthew 6 and says, take no thought of what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. Don't even worry about tomorrow. See, God's not thinking about tomorrow. God knows it all. But the thoughts that He thinks right now, as the song that they sing in the preschool Sunday school class is, He's still working on me. And what's the rest of that? To make me what I ought to be. It took Him just a week to make the moon and the stars, the sun and the earth, and Jupiter and Mars. I don't remember the rest of it. Anybody else know the rest of it? Something He must be, and He's still working on me. All the while that our busy selves are running ourselves ragged in this world, trying to make something, create something, or be something, all the while we not came to the conclusion on ladder of He's got it all in His hand. He's still right there thinking about you and I. And how much we're wasting. I want to tell you this tonight. This is a serious thing. A lot of people are wasting their time with stuff they have no control over and will never be something they can control. I've seen people try to fix problems they'll never fix. They'll never be able to do it. God's the only one that's going to be able to do that. But they'll worry themselves to death. They'll run themselves ragged trying to do something or help somebody or do things that God doesn't know the thoughts. God doesn't know the ways. He doesn't know the plan. We've got to quit thinking everything to our thoughts. We got to quit thinking of the way we think God would do it. Don't make Him in our image. We got to go to His image. And I guarantee you there's a lot of things if people look back on, they would say, that's not quite how that I think God instructs us to do. It's not, the thinking process has to go away. And when that goes away, we come to revelation of what's in this Word. This came in the beginning. In the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with God. What will be in the end?
The Word.
The Word. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going away. The plan is not changing. God ain't changing, and neither is the plan. It will not be changing. The only thing else, trying to figure out an alternate path and another way and a better reasonable excuse is what we're doing up here in this comprehensive human mind. And you're not going to outthink God, and you're not going to outrun Him. I promise you that. It's a sad story to see people try it.
You have a plan, He don't like it, He'll change it.
He's good at diverting. He can help you make a turn real quick.
I know that for a fact.
But you think about tonight that all the while, no matter what position you're in tonight, and no matter what you're going through or what your life has thrown at you or what you're dealing with today, how much of that you're obscuring all these thoughts, and the whole time the Lord is thinking about you. If I gave you all the thoughts tonight of what goes through your mind, let's just ask you that for a minute. What comes to your mind if I give you a name? You'll think something up about them. If I give you a name without a face, you'll think something up about them. If I give you the word Ginger Duncan, what would you tell me?
Oh my God.
She's ornery.
Huh?
She's ornery. Hard-headed.
See, that's
That's family.
he knows. Yeah, he knows from experiential thought. He knows. If I give you all a name, if I give you all a name or a face, you'll think something up to give me. You'll think something of give me. But how many times have you told that and it wasn't true? How many
No.
times? See right there. See right there. How many times have
I've
you?
never said it wasn't true.
Okay, he's standing on his thought. But how many times have you seen, heard, or repeated something that wasn't true, but you thought it was? I thought it was. Well, I think it is. See how much that's not in God's plan? I think and I thought is not in his plan. That's why he told them in Isaiah when they were about to make the wrong turn and they ended up turning the wrong way. He says, your thoughts are not my thoughts, and my ways are not yours. That's what he said very clearly. But he says, if you forsake, the unrighteous will forsake, the wicked, if everybody will forsake their own. He told the other one in the New Testament, in the 4 Gospels, he told him to let the dead bury the dead. Take up your cross, follow me. You know, let me go put up my stuff and then I'll be ready to go. Let me go tell my family I'm leaving. What'd he say? That's all thought. That's all thinking. Let me do what I think I need to do. God said, no. You let them take care of that. Things will for tomorrow take care of the things of itself. It's right now, today. This is what God's plan and purpose is today. And the sad truth is, just like I told Steve this morning, of a deacon, a longtime deacon at one of our local churches right here this morning, walked up to his shed and died. He's dead when they found him this morning up at his shed this morning. And, you know, my mind always runs through when people die, what were they thinking about? Were they thinking about right now, or were they thinking about some time way out in front of them that's never going to come now? It's gone. Time is over. How much time we're wasting thinking about things that may never pass, may never happen, because we don't have the plan. We didn't write it. We don't know it. But the strong point tonight is the fact that we are to take no thought. No thought. If he can feed the birds, provide the rain, keep the grass growing, he can give everything in the creation and plan he made for all that to work, then how much more is he not able to take care of you? He made you. How much more is he not able to take care of you? Anybody else got anything tonight? Anybody? Anybody got anything?
Well, I was gonna say that's a good lesson. I think that was.
What you thinking? What you thinking?
But I'm not gonna say it.
What do y'all think about a lot? Tell me, what do you think about a lot? Huh?
Food.
That's horrible. You can't eat it.
I know. That's why I think it's the best thing.
Yeah. What's something y'all think about a lot?
I think about the Lord returning every day.
Huh?
The Lord returning every day.
Okay.
Listen for the news. I can't keep up with it every day, but I'm looking for it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Signs.
Yeah.
What you got to do.
Huh?
In my line of work, it's what you got ahead of.
Where you left off and where you're picking up to get done,
Start doing.
and how much quicker you can get it done. Yeah.
Just the fact that you gotta get that done.
Yeah.
You gotta go by the store.
Yeah.
Hardware store, get a lumber store.
Yeah.
To do what you gotta do.
If you and Roger are in a truck, you all ride together to the job site. Well, I'm just saying now. Let's just say you go with him one day, and you have a wreck, and both of you are hurt, and you can't go back to that house 6 months, 8 months, whatever, because both of you are hurt. There you are. That's how quickly the plan changes. But that could be God's plan. Easily, something can come up or happen. I've seen him divert people in very, very miraculous ways, different ways. But a plan that God's done made, we can't know and predict. There's no way of predicting knowing what you're going to do if that happens. But that's very possible. It could happen. All these things come about our way that God's done up here and got taken care of. All the while we're pulling, killing, wasting time thinking, overthinking all these things in our mind. Anybody else got anything? Y'all got quiet. This side, other than reading's been silent. Y'all know that? Roger, they've been real quiet tonight. Yeah.
We agree.
Okay.